Good afternoon. Welcome to the Fall 2022 induction of Phi Theta Kappa. You may be seated, as you all already are. Good job, y'all jumped the gun. Thank you all for coming and celebrating the hard work of our Weatherford College Coyotes. First, I'd like to introduce you to the Phi chapter officers and advisors. Please stand as your name is called. My name is Claire Spencer, and I am the Phi chapter president. We have Vice President Paige Edmonds, Recording Officer Jessica Kilman, and Public Relations Officer Sydney Schultz. With us also is Mrs. Dana Orban, one of our advisors. She's over there waving, and additional advisors are Ms. Lauren Tidwell and Ms. Sharon Johnson. We would like to recognize and welcome some special guests that are here this afternoon. Please stand as your name is called. Mr. Brent Baker, Weatherford College's Vice President of Institutional Advancement, Weatherford College Board of Trustees member Leela Morris, Dr. Alex Ebay, Dean of Humanities and Science, and Ms. Janetta Cruz, Dean of Workforce Education. Faculty and staff members at Weatherford College are key to the academic success of students, and some of them have set aside time this afternoon to join the occasion. Please stand and let us appreciate you and your dedication to students. Thank you.
Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance in the American and Texas flag. Okay. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And then at this point, will all veterans or active military personnel please stand to be recognized or remain standing. All right. Thank y'all for y'all service.
Thank you, Jessica. So, in recognizing the importance of freedom of religion, this country's forefathers set forth protections, which allow all of us to express and exercise individual beliefs in our own way. So, out of respect for the diversity among us, I ask each of you to take a moment to reflect upon the significance of this time together, and if you so choose, continue that reflection as I share these words. As we gather this weekend as members of Phi Theta Kappa, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to offer our service to fellow citizens and to our community. Keeping in mind always the endearing values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world, to serve as a servant leaders to those around us, and to be open-minded to the introduction of new ideas. Be with us as we meet our commitments as members of this great organization. We express our gratitude for an opportunity to gather together where we can reinforce our society's principles of openness and engagement for all people. For all this, we are thankful.
Thank you, Paige. At this time, I would like to welcome Professor of Philosophy, Dr. Greg Trickett, to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you on this celebratory day. It's a Sunday, and I'm a Baptist. So I'm not used to taking the stage for less than 45 minutes at a time on Sundays. But I'm going to do my best to keep it a little bit shorter than that today. I'm a philosopher, and philosophers love to ask the why question. In the popular sitcom The Good Place, the moral philosopher Chidi is told that this is why no one likes moral philosophers. I hope that's not entirely true, because today I want to spend the next few minutes thinking about the why question regarding PTK, in particular PTK's 4 pillars. The Phi Theta Kappa pillars are leadership, scholarship, service, and fellowship. But what are pillars, and why do we have them? Pillars hold a structure up. They keep it in place. They serve as its foundation, but pillars also have a strong, solid core. Not to belabor a perfectly acceptable and useful analogy, but I am a philosopher, so here goes. At the core of each of PTK's foundational pillars lies a virtue, an excellency of character, as philosophers like to call it. In all honesty, it's likely several virtues, but I'll resist the urge to discuss them all. Instead, I want to focus this afternoon on a few defining virtues that help us better understand the pillars that they strengthen. So the first pillar is leadership. I want to talk about anyway, is leadership. And the virtues that we could think about with leadership are courage, honesty, humility. There's probably several more, but I think that integrity is probably one that sits at the core here. Leadership involves leading people, obviously enough. It's worth noting that if you are to be a good leader, you should know how to be a good follower. Following is not a vice. It's a requirement if there are to be leaders. Otherwise, we would have a wealth of leaders leading no one nowhere. In any case, what does it mean to lead people? Presumably, a leader exerts some kind of influence or authority over situations and people to gain some kind of favored or desired result. Good leaders not only do this well, but they lead people in situations to good and virtuous ends. So while there are many virtues we could associate with leadership, it makes sense that integrity be near at the top of the list. While the nature of integrity as a virtue is debated among philosophers, there's many who think it might not even be a virtue, but something else. I think we can accept it as a way to think about a kind of virtue of attitude or a stance, sometimes called an epistemic virtue, or a virtue of thinking, of thought, that one takes toward living a well-directed and ordered life. In short, integrity is the effort to act in a morally consistent way towards morally consistent ends or goals. A leader of integrity does this in her efforts to lead others, whether the context is at the head of a company, a small group, a committee, social organization, or retail work environment. One who leads with integrity seeks to demonstrate moral consistency in their actions and goals. The second pillar is scholarship. And here again, we can think of courage, again, integrity as well, curiosity, the love of truth, open-mindedness. But I think humility is one of the core aspects of scholarship. Scholarship is the academic pursuit of knowledge, both in theory and in application. The best scholarship seeks to make a positive difference in its field and in the world around it. There's much written about the intellectual virtues, and much of what is written about this is very good. But for our purposes, I think it's helpful to consider which virtue gets scholarship off on the right foot. When considered in this way, there seems to be little doubt that humility makes a good contender for the top position. Of course, one could argue for curiosity or the love of truth or open-mindedness as something co-equal with humility, but again, time restricts going too deep in this. If we can't or don't approach what we study with a sense of humility, a sense that we likely don't know what we need to know about the subject, then we are lost before we even begin. In other words, academic pursuits require that we acknowledge and admit our own ignorance, and that we submit to the achievement and knowledge of others. This just is humility. Service, the third pillar, has virtues associated with it like humility, again, generosity, compassion, again, courage, kindness. But I want to focus on selflessness. Service is usually understood to be the act of helping others, We may typically think of the term in reference to helping those less fortunate than ourselves. In this way of understanding service, we serve those who need to be served. But while this is a very important sense of the word, I think it may be a little too limiting. Service is also what we do when we pitch in to help the cause. It's what we do when we act with others in such a way as to bring about the greater good. It might even be said that service is what we do when we follow virtuous leaders. But insofar as service requires us to care about people and the things outside of ourselves, service seems to require a kind of selflessness. Selflessness is the virtue of altruistic behavior. It eschews an egoistic perspective for one focused on the other person. That focus on the other, their needs, goals, struggles, and successes, lies at the heart of service. Focusing on others in service then requires that we approach others with a selfless attitude that places the well-being and concerns of others above our own, at least for the time in which we serve them. And finally, we look at fellowship. And the virtues here we could think of, again, humility, compassion, sacrifice. But I think it makes sense to think about love in the context of fellowship. Fellowship is the association of like-minded people in encouraging and uplifting ways. We may think of this pillar as the context in which friendship occurs. Therefore, it makes sense to think of the core virtue of fellowship in terms of the virtues associated with friendship. True friendship occurs when we love our friend. That is, when we desire the good and welfare for our friend, and when we desire a kind of intimate mutual connection with them. We'll return to this here in a minute. There's an idea in ancient philosophy, Socrates and Plato advanced it, that suggests that virtues have a kind of unity to them. In the strongest sense, the claim is that the virtues are all really the same thing, or at least are joined by some common defining value. At a minimum, it seems reasonable to suggest that the virtues all involve each other in some way. Consider the virtues we've covered so far and their context: integrity, humility, selflessness, and love. It seems that these virtues involve each other. That is, they're connected to each other in a significant way. If one is to lead with moral integrity, one must demonstrate humility and selflessness. The love of friendship requires a humble, selfless attitude. We can see this at work in the interrelatedness of pillars as well. To be an effective leader, one must value fellowship and service. To be a good scholar, one must engage in fellowship with others and in service to the discipline one is studying, and perhaps even to the truth itself. To serve well, one must lead with integrity and fellowship with the served. And then, of course, fellowship requires at least the desire to serve others. So with these reflections in mind, allow me to issue a challenge as you step into your academic future as a member of PTK. And here what I want to do is encourage you by focusing on what I think might be the most important of these pillars. Pour yourselves into each other and the community. If the pillars are the foundation of this organization, fellowship is its cornerstone. A cornerstone is a stone of reference. All the other stones are set in reference to this stone. As such, the cornerstone is fundamentally foundational to the structure of a society such as PTK. Why is fellowship the cornerstone? Because all of the other pillars can't happen without the benefit of fellowship. Leaders must lead a group of like-minded individuals, a fellowship of people, ideally joined together in fellowship. Serving is best done in the context of a community, again, a fellowship. Scholarship requires one to interact with a vast community of academics throughout history, but also it's best exercised among the encouragement and accountability that's found in the fellowship of a school community, your peers, your fellow students. But if fellowship is the cornerstone of PTK, then love is its virtue. The Apostle Paul, when writing to the Corinthian church, encouraged them to love each other. Encouraging them to love each other, gave one of the most well-known and recognizable descriptions of love. If you've attended a wedding in the past 20 years, you've heard this. And I'm not going to rehearse it here. I'm not going to refer to it here, or quote it here. But you can find it in 1 Corinthians 13 in the New Testament. In short, Paul tells the Corinthians that without love, even the best of the best actions are futile. He ends his poetic description of love with the famous words, "Now abide these three, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love." So again, I say, pour yourselves into each other. Invest in each other. Desire what is truly good for each other. Desire that those around you become leaders of integrity, selfless servants, humble scholars, and a loving fellowship. And act in ways that help each other to achieve that good. That is, act as friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tricka. We appreciate you coming today and speaking to us. At this time, I would like to pause for just a moment. This year, our Phi chapter is 94 years old. So happy birthday to Phi. Phi Theta Kappa is much older, but we are 94 years old. So we should all be walking around in canes today. Just so you know, there has been incredible leadership that has graced this chapter over the years here at Weatherford. Dedication and love has guided and pushed students to be at their fullest potential. Record breakers, path makers, individuals who just gave it all to be successful and to be successful through PTK. We have seen this over and over again. So I like to say these students do not live by default, they live by design. They make that design for their life and they pursue it. And we so much appreciate their membership. We are proud of each student and commend you on your academic success. Thank you for representing Weatherford College and the Phi chapter so well. I wanted to take just a minute to talk to you about our trash art contest. If you saw the sculptures in the hallway and some of the poetry and the short stories, they're out there on the tables as you came in. Each year we do what they call an Honors in Action, which is a research project our students participate in, and it goes with a theme from Phi Theta Kappa. Phi Theta Kappa actually sets the theme. What it is for this year is the act of play. How does play fit into honorship and scholarship and things like that? So we chose, as the representing students here, the officers, they chose to how can we implement play and get interest from the community in doing recycling on campus and in our communities. So in that, we took pictures, we tried to get students, faculty, and staff to participate. So those are examples of what they came up with, and some of them are very unique and spent a lot of time. So we're very thankful. So take a few moments if you didn't get a chance to look at those and enjoy them. We hope to inspire creativity and play and motivate others to do the recycling, not only just on the campus, but in their homes as well. So we encourage you to do that. We did this year apply for the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. They offered a scholarship to us to help us with the trash art contest and the research project. We received $1,000 from that foundation. It gave us the opportunity to give prizes or awards for the art. So the first place winners that was chosen by independent judges from around campus, they receive $100 to our bookstore here on campus to spend on textbooks or clothing or whatever. For $100 for first place, $50 for second place winners to the bookstore, and then each participant receives a $10 participation award. But it all gets fed back into Weatherford and helps them, purchase things that they would need for their classes. So we hoped that that would be an inspiration to participate. We're very thankful for all the students and their participation, and I wanted to recognize the winners. The 2D category, the first place was Abigail. I should have practiced these names before because it's Manajisu, hopefully, and Kason Burgess. So yay, first place. Second place in the 2D category is Adriana Linder. She's here today. So this is news to the winners. We haven't announced them. And then we also gave two $10 gift certificates for two other people that participated. In the 3D category, first place went to Samuel Sir. So that was very good. And second place went to Brenna Calderon. Maybe? No? No. Okay. And then we had 5 other submissions in that category. In literature, the first place went to Jared Abraham. Second place to Harvest Bowman. And then $10 gift certificates. We didn't have any more in that category. But please take a moment to enjoy those pieces of art, and hopefully you'll see some advertising come out where we're planning on giving the certificates and taking a picture with the student to show off their art as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. At this time, we will begin the Pledge of Membership. Honored presidents, advisors, and fellow Phi Theta Kappa members, I am pleased to present to you these candidates for membership into our honor society. As chapter president, I attest that these students have fulfilled all the requirements for membership and have been selected because they have chosen scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship as their hallmarks. I hereby recommend them for acceptance into Phi chapter of Phi Theta Kappa of the International Honor Society of the 2-year college.
You are about to be inducted into a society fellowship which embraces 2-year colleges, not only of the great state of Texas, but of the nation and of the world. This fellowship is Phi Theta Kappa, and your chapter is very affectionately known as Phi. After this induction, you will find yourself among the members in an atmosphere of scholarship to which you must give yourself in order that this organization may be most meaningful to you. For it is only through active membership that you can truly create history and secure all that it is to be a Phi Theta Kappa. The torch, symbolic of knowledge, which is the servant of wisdom, which dwells with prudence and leads in the way of righteousness in the midst past of judgment. The white rose, representing purity and beauty of life and symbolizing our new formed intellectual friendships. The Phi Theta Kappa emblem consists of a golden slab, keyed at the top and bottom. The golden field, like the insignia of our coat of arms, refers to the golden opportunities available for society members to learn about their culture and how to give back to the nation. Since gold is the most noble of metals, it shall have further significance to our society, for it shall represent the ability by those who achieve intellectual leadership.
Across the slab, observe a black hand representing the ideals which band us together. Shining through the black enamel background are the 3 Greek letters, which are the initials of the 3 mystic Greek words, which stand for wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Behind the band is a wreath. One side is composed of oak leaves and the other is laurel. The oak leaves stand for stability and strength of character, as symbolized by the sturdy oak. The graceful, curling leaves of the laurel signify achievement and success, all attributes for membership in our society. Above the band is a representation of the head of Athena, the goddess of learning. In the base appears the mystic Greek letters meaning light, the light of knowledge and learning, the common ideal for members of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. This badge stands as a symbol for the high idealism of our organization and membership in our selected group.
Now that the standards and ideals of this organization have been fully revealed to you, I invite the inductees to rise in order to complete the pledge, which admits you into complete fellowship. I also invite all current members to join them in order to reaffirm your own pledge to the society. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Claire Spencer, do solemnly promise on this, the 13th day of November, 2022, to uphold the standards of Phi Theta Kappa, and to make this object and aim foremost in my mind. And I do solemnly pledge allegiance to my fellow members and promise to aid them in all worthy endeavors. Please be seated. The Phi chapter at Weatherford College has a current membership of 622 students. 153 students have joined since February 2022. We are very pleased that some of these students were able to attend the ceremony today. And at this time, I would like to invite Mrs. Tidwell to come up and introduce you to the newest members of Phi chapter.
Inductees, if you would please stand. The first inductee that I am proud to introduce to you is Hannah Elizabeth Baker. Hannah is pursuing an Associates of Arts degree, and her dream job is to become an actress. Her most influential professor is Stacy Tharp. You're good. All right, the next inductee is Cord DeWeese. Cord is a military veteran, and he is pursuing his Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. His dream job is to do something in the healthcare field. The next inductee is Diego Duran. Diego is pursuing a degree in civil engineering, and his dream job is to become a civil engineer. The next inductee is Kristen Levery. Kristen is pursuing her degree in mechanical engineering. Her dream job is to become an engineer at Lockheed Martin. Her most influential professor apparently is me. Thank you, Kristen. Our next inductee is Adriana Elizabeth Linder. Adriana is pursuing a degree in general studies. Her dream job is to become a tattoo artist, and her most influential professor is Dr. Smith. Next, we have Kimberly Sexton, who is pursuing an associate degree in nursing. Kimberly's dream job is to become a nurse, and she has enjoyed all of her professors. Next, we have Meredith Skeels. Meredith is pursuing a degree in veterinary science, and her dream job is to become an artist. Meredith's most influential professor is Sue Bruner. Our next inductee is Kristen Brooke Tharp. Kristen is pursuing a degree in psychology, and she'll be graduating this semester. She plans to transfer to Belmont University, and her dream job is to pursue music therapy. Kristen's most influential professor is Dr. Trickett and Miss Burt. Next, we have Dr. Steve Wood. Dr. Wood is a dentist, orthodontist here locally, and he came back to school and is pursuing another degree in cybersecurity. So we're glad to have him here at Weatherford College. His dream job, which sounds great, is retirement. And his most influential professor is in public service. Last but not least, we have the very sharply dressed Jareth Ozzie Woodson. Jareth is pursuing a degree in biology. He plans to transfer to UT Austin. Jareth's dream job is to become a professor or a researcher. His most influential professor is Dr. Twanabasu. I invite you now to raise your candles so that they may light your way as you let your journey begin with us. It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to formally introduce you as Phi Theta Kappa members. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fall 2022 induction class of Phi Chapter. I challenge each of you to become active members of not only this chapter, but of our institution and the community. You can make a change in this world by your continued excellence. Please blow out your candles. You may now take your seats as fellow Phi Theta Kappans.
As our newest members are taking their seats, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that as members of Phi Theta Kappa, we know that we did not make it here on our own. I would like to thank you, our families, friends, and loved ones, because without your support, many of us would not be here this afternoon. We know we are not alone on this journey, so we offer our congratulations to you as well and express our gratitude for your sacrifices. It is my pleasure to welcome you into the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society in the lively fellowship of scholars it affords. I salute you for your accomplishment. I charge you to always explore the truth and to dedicate yourselves to the cultivations of the well-reasoned life, a prelude to service and honor. Thank you. This concludes our ceremony. Light refreshments are located in a room right outside of this room to the right. We encourage you to enjoy this time to meet and fellowship with other members and their family and friends. Thank you.